Good evening, dear ones. Let's discuss the question and answers from the chapter Environmental Studies from the textbook Nature Matters, Readings on Life and Nature. When you open the textbook at page number 8, you can see the comprehension question, that is the short answer question. There are 10 short answer questions, then there are also 5 paragraph questions and 3 essay questions. First, we will begin with the short answer question. The first question is, define environment. Answer is, the word environment comes from the French word environ, which means surrounding. Environment encompasses all living and non-living things occurring naturally. The second question is, what is environmental studies? Answer, environmental studies is an applied science that deals with every issue that affects an organism. It is essentially a multi-disciplinary approach which includes biology, geology, chemistry, physics, sociology, anthropology, philosophy, etc. Moving on to the third question. Third question is, how do we traditionally refer to our environment? Why? Answer is, we traditionally refer to our environment as Mother Nature. Most traditional societies have learned that respecting nature is vital for their livelihood. Now the fourth question. What changes have happened in our world in the last 200 years? Answer, over the past 200 years, modern societies began to believe that easy answers to the question of producing more resources could be provided by means of technological innovations. But the ill effects of this type of developments have led to environmental degradation. Now moving on to the fifth question, that is, what are natural resources? Answer, water, minerals, petroleum products, wood, etc. are referred to as natural resources. Natural resources are resources that exist without the actions of humankind. Now the sixth question, define non-renewable resources. Answer, a non-renewable resource is a resource of economic value that cannot be readily replaced by natural means. For example, of non-renewable resources include carbon-based fossil fuel, minerals, and oil. Now the seventh question. Give examples for renewable and non-renewable resources. Answer, a renewable resource is a resource which can be used repeatedly and replaced naturally. Example, timber and water. A non-renewable resource is a resource of economic value that it cannot be rapidly replaced by natural means. Examples of non-renewable resources include carbon-based fossil fuel, minerals, and oil. Moving on to the eighth question, that is, what is sustainable development? Answer, sustainable development can be defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Unsustainable development occurs when present progress is at the expense of future generations. Now the ninth question is, what are the components of environmental studies? Answer, Environmental studies is essentially a multidisciplinary approach which includes biology, geology, chemistry, physics, sociology, anthropology, philosophy, etc. Environmental studies is an applied science that deals with every issue that affects an organism. Now the last question, the 10th question. Give an example of the overuse of the natural resources. Answer. The economically better off sections use of greater amounts of forest products. The overconsumption of energy, water and raw materials worsen climate change and increase air pollution. Now let's move on to the essay questions. As I usually do, I have included 4 paragraph questions within the essay and 1 paragraph question I will be discussing separately. So the essay questions, let's read the essay questions. First one, write an essay on the importance of environmental studies in today's world. Second question, comment on the changes that have occurred in the last 200 years that have led to the need for protecting our environment. Third question, comment on the idea of sustainable development. Now note the ideas. The second paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 1 and 3 from the textbook. The third paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 2 from the textbook. The fourth paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 5 from the textbook. Now let's begin the introduction paragraph. Nature has provided us numerous gifts such as air, water, land, sunlight, minerals, plants, and animals. All these gifts of nature make our earth a place worth living. Existence on earth would not be possible without any of these. The necessity of most of these resources has increased extremely over the centuries due to growth in the human population. One difference between animals and humans is that animals change themselves for the environment, but humans change the environment for themselves. Here is where the real import of environmental studies lies. Environmental studies is an applied science that deals with every issue that affects an organism. It is essentially a multidisciplinary approach which includes biology, geology, chemistry, physics, sociology, anthropology, philosophy, etc. Now let's move on to the second paragraph of the essay. As I said previously, the second paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 1 and 3 from the textbook. Paragraph question number 1 is, what is the scope of environmental studies? Paragraph question number 3 is, why is environmental studies the need of the hour? Answer. Environmental protection can be defined as the prevention to conserve and preserve the standard healthy level of environmental media by reducing the production of pollutants or polluting substances in environmental media. Various human activities have induced many undesirable effects to the environment, which can be threatening human health, economic, natural resources, and the gene pool of ecosystem, such as pollutions, greenhouse effects, global warming, and soil erosion. The tremendous increase in industrial activity during the last few decades and the release of obnoxious industrial waste into the environment have been considerable concern in recent years from the point of view of the environmental pollution. Environmental pollution on one hand and deforestation, soil erosion, population explosion, global warming, interference in ecosystem and biosphere on the other are threatening the very existence of life on the earth. Our dependence on nature is so great that we cannot continue to live without protecting the earth's environmental resources. We live in a world in which natural resources are limited. Water, air, soil, minerals, oil, the products we get from forests, grasslands, ocean, and from agriculture are all a part of our life support system. Without them, life itself would be impossible. When we keep on increasing in numbers, the quantity of resources each of us use also increases. This leads to the depletion of Earth's resources. The Earth cannot be extracted to sustain this expanding level of utilization of resources. Added to this is the misuse of resources. Thus, there are several factors that is strongly recommended a fight for environmental protection and to create a better environment. Environment is an evergreen subject because it matters a lot to our daily lives. It is where we live, eat, breathe, and bring up our children. We would be aware that our life support system entirely rely on the well-being of every organism living on planet Earth. Next, we will move on to the third paragraph of the essay. The third paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 2 from the textbook. So, paragraph question number 2 from the textbook is: state the differences between renewable and non-renewable resources with the examples. Answer: all things that are useful to us are called resources. Air, water, land, soil, forest, etc. are all resources. Resources are useful raw materials that we get from nature. These are naturally occurring materials. They are useful for us in many ways, and we keep developing new ways to use them or use them or convert them into useful things. Water, minerals, petroleum products, wood, etc. are referred to as natural resources. Natural resources are resources that exist without actions of humankind. A renewable resource is a resource which can be used repeatedly and replaced naturally. Example: timber and water. A non-renewable resource is a resource of economic value that it cannot be readily replaced by natural means. Examples of non-renewable resources include carbon-based fossil fuel, minerals, and oil. Natural resources are valuable to us. The broadest classification of resource is done on the basis of their replenishing ability. We depend on natural vegetation and natural resources such as land, soil, as well as wildlife resources for our survival. All these form the basic components of our ecosystem. Non-renewable energy resources like coal, nuclear, oil, and natural gas are available in limited supplies. This is usually due to the long time it takes for them to be replenished. Renewable resources are replenished naturally and over relatively short periods of time. The 5 major renewable energy resources are solar, wind, water or hydro, biomass, and geothermal. The reason for the depletion of natural resources is twofold. Our rapidly exploding population that needs to sustain itself on resources is the one reason. The other reason is the growth of affluent societies which consume and waste a very large portion of resources and energy. Increasing extraction of resources is at the cost of natural ecosystem, leading to a derangement of their important functions. A more even sharing of resources with the quotient within the community can reduce the pressures on the natural ecosystem. Now we will move on to the fourth paragraph of the essay. The fourth paragraph of the essay is the answer of paragraph question number 5 from the textbook. Paragraph question number 5 from the textbook is: comment on the uses of fossil fuels. Answer: energy, whether it is sunlight or heat from a wood fire, has always been important to society. However, with the onset of the Industrial Revolution over 200 years ago, wood alone could no longer support the increasing energy demand. The world quickly turned to coal to satisfy its energy needs, and it has been reliant on fossil fuels ever since. Despite the inroads renewable and nuclear energies have made in recent decades, the vast majority of energy used by society still comes from the three main fossil fuels: petroleum, natural gas, and coal. Fossil fuel is a general term for buried contestable geological deposits of organic materials. Fossil fuels were formed from decayed prehistoric plants and animals that lived millions of years ago. Fossil fuels play a huge part in our nation's backup power. While clean energy is becoming popular for main energy, fossil fuels are relied on for backup energy for industry and commercial buildings. Different types of fossil fuels have been used throughout history. Coal and its byproducts have been used to fuel and improve industry. As the world began to raise concerns on climate change and rapid depletion of fossil fuels, there is a need to hasten the solutions for clean energy generation with renewable sources. Solar energy has the potential as an alternative source of energy as it is renewable, universally accessible, and emits very low or zero CO2 gases. Fossil fuels are non-renewable resources as they have taken millions of years to form. Once these resources are used, they will not be replenished. Moreover, fossil fuels are the largest source of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas which contributes to climate change, and their production causes both environmental and human health impacts. These concerns are triggering the world to look at alternate sources of energy that are both less harmful and renewable. And yet, due to the high global demand of fossil fuels, they form the major part of the economy of producing countries and the world in general. However, the impact of fossil fuel to the environment has been an issue of great concern. Considering the visible contributions of fossil fuels to modern human society, the environmental implications pose a dilemma to the world leaders. It is crucial that the hazards posed by fossil fuels to the environment be tactfully minimized while taking into account its positive contributions to civilization. Now we will move on to the last paragraph, the concluding paragraph of the essay. In recent decades, many environmental problems have increased as the result of human activities and the unplanned management of the technological development. Those interference different ecosystems. Therefore, a dispute between the importance of conservation and preservation of ecosystems to protect environment and the necessity to satisfy human desire without sacrificing the environment has been arising across the world. Environmental problems at the local, national and international levels mostly occur due to lack of awareness. Environmental studies aims to educate and equip learners with the necessary environmental skills to pass to the community in order to create awareness. It is a vital part for our promising future that we understand the importance of global awareness. This is what environmental studies does, and there lies its importance. Thus, we have finished the essay questions, and also within the essay we have included 4 paragraph questions. Now we will discuss the remaining 1 paragraph question. That is, the question is, what is the role of plastic in our society? The answer is, plastic, the wonder material that we use for everything and which pollutes our environment, is perhaps the most harmful to the environment because it does not readily break down in nature. Plastic is the general common term for a wide range of synthetic or semi-synthetic organic solid materials suitable for the manufacture of industrial products. Plastics are a subset of materials known as polymers. Millions of plastic products are manufactured each year throughout the world. As the technology for the production increases, even more products will enter the plastic age. These days, our earth has been filled by a lot of waste. There is a lot of garbage, plastic waste, and electronic waste. We always produce it and dump it when we need the new one. Our waste are piling up and continuously accumulating. Plastic waste is one of the biggest problems for us now. Plastic pollution has been affecting us ever since plastic has been invented. It has been affecting mostly our oceans. Plastic has been killing thousands and thousands of sea creatures. And yet, plastic has found its way into every house and office. It is found in many home appliances and office equipment. Plastic has benefited our society in a number of ways. In fact, plastic has helped aeronautics technology take giant steps forward over the past 50 years, including achievements in satellites, shuttles, aircrafts, and missiles. As a result, civil and air travel has improved, as well as military, air power, and space exploration. In addition, the building and construction, electronics, packaging, and transportation industries have all benefited greatly from plastic. The reason for increased use of plastic is that it has replaced glass, wood, and metals, and it's relatively cheap. Plastic is thrown away after its use, and that creates a huge problem regarding the disposal of the plastic. This has resulted in the need for recycling plastic in order to avoid its disposal and to reuse it. We should remember that plastic pollution is a man-made disaster, and so nature will not come up with a solution to this problem. Now we have finished discussing all the questions from the chapter Environmental Studies. In the next class, we will meet again with a new chapter.